afternoon. It is Sunday, July 14th. Gonna go into my gig in just a little bit. I'm sitting here at my computer going over some things. A little upset, a little alarmed by actions, behavior, and the things I have heard out of people's mouths in regards to an incident that occurred last night. You never should wish the downfall of anybody. Behavior always shows itself, and people show their ass regardless of what is projected or said against them. We have enough hate in this world. We really do. We're all trying to just make it, trying to be happy, trying to get to a place that is familiar and comfortable where we want to live happily and healthy. So if you have a bad remark to make about the incident that occurred last night, really look in the mirror and talk to yourself and question why you would have that much hate for somebody. I'm Kitryn Marie, reside in St. Louis, Missouri, an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach, teach a variety of art classes. I teach how to put a vision board together based on psychology, life coaching, law of attraction, law of assumption, how to manifest things into your life for your higher good, asking you to reflect on where you have been in your life and how did you get yourself in this position that you're in right now. Class is $65. It goes typically 2 hours, but can go 3 hours, all depending on who you are and what the goal is. And sometimes it's a two-part class because we can't get everything in one class. But I'm going over some notes this morning because there's some things that have been brought to my attention about character awareness and character behavior and people that dive into activities and that is all they become focused on. They are so hyper obsessed with jumping in to whether it be work, alcohol, your hobbies, your religion, whichever activity that one would jump into to avoid, hoping that if they dive in head first and give it 150% to 200%, that magically the outside world or whatever it is in their personal world doesn't have to be recognized and dealt with. I'm going to read some of my notes. These are things that I studied when I was studying life coaching to help with my art classes. There's a term from those people that jump into those things and do that 200%. And that's all they're focused on. And then they get bored with that at some point and then they go on to something else. But it is called engulfment. It is called engulfment avoidance. In this situation, the individual immerses themselves in practices, beliefs, and community activities to avoid confronting personal issues, emotions, or relational difficulties. A lot of times they numb their emotions, having to cope with stress, anxiety, or trauma. So, I'm like reading why somebody does that. It has a lot to do with codependency, really. It's a behavior that manifests in looking for dependency to gain approval, validation, to have a sense of identity, to, have a community that they belong to, a community that shares the like-minded moment that they are diving themselves into. They become so enmeshed in the need and the expectation of the group or the authority figures, they lose sight of themselves. These patterns create unhealthy dynamics where the individual loses sight of their own identity and well-being and prioritize the activity and the belief and maintaining, because it does become an addiction, to the detriment of their own personal growth and emotional health. The reliance on whatever it is that they are jumping into becomes a coping mechanism, and it prevents them from facing and resolving their underlying emotional issues, leading to a cycle of avoidance and more dependency on somebody else. In the next months coming up, in this next year, especially right before this election, we are going to see some very odd, psychotic behavior. You know, nobody wants to be around crazy, bottom line. You know, we all know how we are wired, or we all should know how we are wired, and we all should know what our triggers are. But we also should understand whatever it is that, we are reflecting on, or whatever it is that we feel, the other person doesn't have to feel it also, and it should not be impended onto them. Quit expecting you in other people. If you have become addicted to your hobby, your habits, to avoid feeling anything, having, something, a coping mechanism so you can get through without paying attention to what the real inner core issue is, be very mindful of the words that are coming out of your mouth, because it will make you look like you have some type of psychosis. Be very aware of what reactive abuse looks like in someone who is not understanding where you're coming from, and because you are not living their life or having their same belief or having their same obsession, that they will come at you in this reactive abuse situation. I'll put you on hold 1 second. Also, too, the way that we become codependent on other people, because we are afraid of being alone. We are afraid, and I'm not speaking in general because I like being alone. I love my quiet. I like the way I think. I like, my humor. I can entertain myself. But for those that are, dependent on somebody else, that are codependent because they have not learned how to be on their own, how to have their own thoughts, how to have their own thoughts and actions work for the better of who they are, not enmeshing into somebody else's lifestyle where at some point a mask falls off and you become so unstimulated because that's not who you are. And that is the one thing about codependency. The person will become the other person. They will become obsessed with who they are and what they are involved with, and they will take on that role to the point that they can't continue to do it because that is not who they are. That is not their mechanics. So I think since 2019, 2020, when we saw, the upheaval of people conforming and not thinking on their own, there is still the codependency that is just about peaked out because people are not quite understanding why life is not working for them, why they've repeated to do the same things in this codependent fashion, enmeshing themselves, becoming obsessed with certain things that aren't aligning with who they are. These are things I do talk about in my vision board class. It's a little bit more than cut and paste. It's about really trying to find out who you are, what your interest is, and what you were made to believe that doesn't align with who you are, what your core is. But I am Kitryn Marie. I do reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach. Teach a variety of art classes. They're enrichment classes to, offer you entertainment, inspiration, getting you out of the box. Think a little different. But for today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Fate turns on a dime. You decide what side of the coin you want to